Hey, everybody, welcome to the live stream. We are here. It is an exciting day. It is the last 2 days of Ms. Wheelchair America presented by the Mary Free Bed Guild. It is the afternoon before the speech night. We're going to be back in your feeds at 7 o'clock tonight with the first of two parts of the finals of Ms. Wheelchair America. Speech night is my favorite of the nights because you get to meet all the contestants and hear their platform speeches. It is a lot of fun. But to kind of tease that and to talk about it a little bit more, I'm going to chat with a couple more of our contestants here and get to know them in a little bit a longer scale. So we've got Dominique Sessa. She is from Maryland, and she is Ms. Wheelchair Maryland, and she's going to chat with us. She has just been so fun. We've been cracking jokes the whole time she's been cracking jokes the whole time as we've been talking. So why don't you just introduce yourself and tell me, what has Ms. Wheelchair America been like for you so far?
Hi everyone. For me, this has been such an incredible experience. I've never been in a room with so many other women that use wheelchairs, and I love to hear everyone's unique stories. I always say a stranger is a friend that I haven't met yet, and I think one of the most incredible things is just the friendships we're making, the stories we're telling. It's just been such a beautiful experience.
I want to start too with the first part when people first talk to you, besides your smile and just the energy you bring about, a little like a soft spoken, I think. And so sometimes people have to come a little closer to hear you speak. But why don't you tell me a little bit about why you use a wheelchair and how that kind of maybe impacted your voice as well too?
I'm a big fan of leaning in figuratively and literally. So I always appreciate when people do that for me. I have a neuromuscular disease. I like to say that my body came with a lot of terms and conditions that I didn't agree to. So my neuromuscular disease affects all of my muscles and sometimes my voice. I have something also that creates a little rigidity, spasticity, and dystonia. So sometimes it shakes, sometimes it's a little louder, but can be kind of hard to understand. But I think for me, it's also really taught me a lot of empathy because so many disabilities are complex like my own. And I don't think people realize that, using your voice can be difficult at times if you feel that people aren't understanding you. That's why I'm a big advocate of making sure that everyone feels comfortable, whether they use a communication device or they're soft spoken.
What have you learned about yourself from working with all these other women? People come with one platform, but they leave with many. What have you learned that you're going to take away from this to bring back to Maryland after the competition?
One of the things that will be imprinted on my heart is the passion. Everyone's platform comes from their hearts and their souls, and it's been so joyful to see this beautiful connection. Because for me, this isn't a competition, it's a connection of raising individuals to show how incredible they are and how unique they are in their backgrounds.
In reading your bio, it says that you were a governor appointed commissioner on the Commission on Disabilities. That's a really cool honor. Tell me what that was like and what that experience has been and what you've learned from that.
I'm gonna toot Maryland's horn. Maryland is the only state that has a cabinet level Department of Disabilities. So we have a Secretary of Disabilities right in our own governor's department. So I was the youngest commissioner elected to serve on the Maryland Commission on Disabilities. It works along beside the Maryland Department of Disabilities. And for me, I think it's essential for women with disabilities to be represented, but also complex disabilities like my own. So I was so excited to go there and represent rural issues. It's rural, and a lot of the issues that are impacting disabled individuals are so more, again, I'll say multifaceted, it's complex. You have broadband access, you have transportation. In our area, we don't have access to paratransit. So I was so excited to bring not just my insight, but the inside of my community and work for the state. And I'm also the chair of the Maryland Loan Program Board. Every state has an AT loan program. And a lot of people say, well, Dominique, what the heck is AT? And I'm like, AT is assistive technology. It just is any software device that lets you function. It could be a wheelchair like I'm in, or it can even be an iPad.
Before we wrap up with your portion of this interview, is there any words of advice that you'd want to share with someone at home who's watching, whether they're able-bodied or have a disability, and they're having struggles in their life? And you talked about multifaceted. This is such great wisdom to have. But anything else you'd want to share with viewers who are watching?
I always describe myself as a sunshiner, not a whiner. And I always believe that one of the hardest yet important things is bravery, and every woman here is so brave to share their stories and have a competition. So no matter what your struggle is, whether it's your disability and the way it's impacting you, or a loved one, or anything, disability is diverse, and the diversity is what makes it beautiful. And I think every person's own unique self is beautiful. So no matter how you feel, someone else is listening and cares. And for me, I have a lot of love to give. So if you need someone in your life, I'm happy to be there.
We need to give you a half-hour show or a podcast or something like that just to share and talk. So it has been so fun chatting with you. We're going to bring in another one of our contestants to talk with. Good luck tonight in speech night and in the rest of the competition.
Cracking some bones.
Yeah, we cracked those jokes. I like that. Awesome. So we're going to bring in our next guest here to chat a little bit. And just a reminder, you are watching a live stream about Ms. Wheelchair America, and we are getting excited for speech night happening tonight, 7:15 p.m. Eastern time, right here in the live streams where you're watching this. We'll be back with our next contestant in just a moment. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. We've got our next contestant. All the way from the sunny California. So we've got Julene. She is a writer, podcast producer, artist, all kinds of awesome stuff. Julene, thank you so much for joining the live stream, talking with us today.
Hey, I am very happy to be here, Chris.
So I want to hear just like such a long resume of all the stuff that you are dabbling in. Just tell me a little bit more about just all the projects or things that you're interested in. It sounds like you just have a lot of things that you just love.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, yeah. Part of my original platform was, hey, when you find something that works for you, grab it, hang on to it, remember it, and keep using it again and again. If it makes you happy, keep doing it. And that's been me all my life. So I started out as an actor, singer, dancer, and which was what brought me from New York to LA, and then just evolved from one thing into another when I ended up in a wheelchair from waking up paralyzed from a rare disease. Then it just took me in this direction, and I started with nonprofits, and I learned how the nonprofits are doing wonderful things and are not communicating. So I went, okay, let's get nonprofits to work together. In fact, let's get human beings to work together. What do you think? And I went, this is impossible, but I'm going to do it anyway. And as I talk to people, Chris, people have so many great ideas about how this can actually happen. So, yeah, wouldn't it be great if the world actually communicated in a kind fashion with each other? Maybe that's too big a platform for right now.
I don't think there's ever too big of a platform. So I love that. I want to go back to that moment of you just waking up one day and your life changed physically. What went through your mind, like mentally through that? And did it take you a while to accept and kind of come to terms with where you were at?
Oh, that was a trip. Absolutely. Interestingly, my mind has blocked the moment when I went, I cannot feel or move anything from belly button down. But of course, like most people, I just kept going, well, this is going to get better. It's not always going to be like this. And then eventually, when I woke up paralyzed, my daughter was 3 and my son was 7 months. So, and because transverse myelitis is such a rare disease, the doctors didn't know what it was. This was back in '96. So finally, I just told the doctors, I don't care what you call it. Get me out of here, get me home to my kids. And that's what ended up happening.
How did you then go from that to then now being Ms. Wheelchair California? Like, what, how would you even get involved in this, and what inspired you to take that leap?
See, this is what happens when you have so many passions and you keep sticking your nose in places maybe you shouldn't oughta. I work for the Abilities Expos, and the LA Abilities Expo is where the Miss Wheelchair California pageant is held. And about a month before the show, I found out that a bunch of the women who were going to do Miss Wheelchair California had to drop out. So I went, well, let me see who I can get. So I went around to so many women who are in wheelchairs and said, you need to run for this. And each one of those little suckers turned around at me and said, well, why aren't you doing it? And I said, because I'm too busy. Because I'm too old and I'm too busy. And they went, no, you're not. And we're busy too. So I went, oh, God. All right, I'll do it. And pretty much I just said, okay, Lord, stick me where you need me. And this is where he stuck me. And the same thing that my sister ahead of me said, the joy of this group is just, these women are smart, they're passionate, and they're happy. I mean, they're just, well, you've got the pictures up now of us boogieing down last night. I mean, this was a party like I haven't seen since Studio 54. Look at all those guys.
What's the sisterhood like here? You hear about people who come and they're looking at it as competitors, but then you're becoming friends, and people are swapping numbers. And I mean, you guys have been actually talking for weeks leading up to this, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Catherine, who has her challenges are tremendous, and yet she's the one that communicated with me first and said, hey, we're doing a whole text thread, we're doing a Facebook thread, and get on board. And so, yeah, I started communicating with the ladies right before I came out here.
And what's that friendship like? Are you learning and taking away things from each other, sharing perspectives, and kind of coming up with new ideas, and maybe even new nonprofits?
New nonprofits. Well, everybody's got their passion, right? And so right off the top, it was just a shortcut because we kind of know what each other are going through, have gone through. So there's a shortcut to, you don't have to do, so how are you? What do you do? Blah, 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 blah. You just jump into a closer relationship. And coming in, I knew I'd be dealing with women who had passion, and I knew I wanted to help them get whatever they want to do on board. And I know they feel the same way about what I'm doing.
What is your specific platform, and how would being Ms. Wheelchair America help you further that?
Well, is let's get nonprofits to work together through the power of collaboration. That's the serious part. But the even more serious part is, hey, let's drop our egos at the door and do this thing. And I had started, before I became Miss Wheelchair California, I had started talking to my California politicians about that. And I got, oh yeah, wouldn't that be nice, kind of a response, but nothing passionate. Once I got to be Miss Wheelchair California and put the crown on my head, all of a sudden people started listening. And in fact, yesterday I got an email out of the blue from my senator in California going, I've heard about you. Sounds like what you're doing is interesting. Can we talk? I'm like, yes, ma'am. Yes, we can.
I mean, getting an email from a senator, that's a good thing to not go to the junk box, right?
Yeah. And I didn't even delete it accidentally, so I'm very proud of myself.
What would be your word of advice for someone who's maybe newly there at that point where you were, where you woke up the first day and like, this isn't right, I'm not feeling right, or maybe they just are recovering from like a traumatic injury? What would be your advice to them to help them kind of get to the point where you are, where they're accepting it, they're embracing it, and they're loving life?
Well, this is what I've been doing now for about 24 years is I do peer counseling. I work with several nonprofits to go into hospitals and talk to people who are newly injured. But the best thing I can do is show up, show them who I am, and listen. Because everybody's going through something very strong and earth-shattering. And I think when they look at me, they know I can understand, so I'm easier to talk to. And then just by showing them who I am, they kind of get a glimpse, well, if she can do it, at least that's my hope.
One more question. Give me the sell. This is like your final speech, and I'm the judge. Like, why should you be Ms. Wheelchair America?
My final sell is not a sell because no matter which of these women is chosen, they're going to be tremendous. But I think what you've got going here is you've got women who are willing to work together. And I'm back to communication again. So whoever is elected, I'll help them. I'll work with them. And if it's me, I know they'll do the same thing with me.
That is excellent. So, Julian from California, Ms. Wheelchair California, thank you so much for chatting. Wish you the best tonight in speech night. We're going to take another quick break to bring in our next contestant to talk a little bit more. So thank you for watching. We'll be back in just a moment with our next contestant. Hello, everybody. Thanks again for sticking around. We got two more contestants in this live stream here. We're really excited to be talking. We are talking also down south to Ms. Mississippi, Mercatia Jenkins. She is from Columbus, Mississippi, right? And so we're excited to bring her on the live stream today. Once again, this is the Friday before the end of the competition. Crowning Gala is tomorrow night. Tonight is speech night. We finished all the workshops, and now it's kind of like an expo, kind of getting ready, and then you guys are going to all get dressed up. How has the week been for you?
Oh, it's been very busy for sure and full of surprises. Every day we're learning something new. Every day we're getting closer and closer to each other. This is actually my first time being around multiple women in wheelchairs, and that was very big for me. So it's like we have these different personalities, but we also have so many things to bring to the table. And then when we're in the workshops, it's like, hey, I need that. I need help with that. Or it's like we're able to exchange so much information to help each other. It's been pretty good.
So I like to find out a little bit more about each of the contestants' backgrounds. And some of the earlier contestants were illnesses that developed or just kind of surprised them. But yours was from an accident, I believe, correct? So can you maybe share like what what was that recovery like? Because your life is going in one direction, then all something instantly happens and your life changes.
Junior in high school, and I ended up paralyzed from a hit and run car accident. Um, I remember waking up, and I remember seeing the gas pumps at the gas station. Our driver, she died on the scene, and my mom wasn't responding at all. And I had my 12-year sister sitting beside me, and it was like, hey, I didn't know what was going on, but I didn't want her to see so much, so I asked her to go in and get us some help. And from there, I called my mom's name as much as I could, and somehow she came to and she removed me from the vehicle before it caught fire. So after that, I knew that I was dying. And I told my mom, I said, I want you to stay behind with my sister, and I'm going to go by myself. And she was like, no. And I said, listen to me. I need you to stay with her and go. And I told her, and I tell her this all the time, that it was meant to be me and not you guys. And I took my last breath at 16 years old alone in that ambulance. So when I came to, they loaded me on this helicopter to take me to UMC in Jackson. And it's been a roller coaster since there. But I'm thankful for it. It was a lot at 16 years old, but I'm married. I have a 6-year-old son. A lot of those things that I thought I wasn't going to be doing, I'm doing it.
I mean, you just said in the story that you took your last breath, but you're here. Like that is wild. So it's like a second chance, you know. And now look at you, you know, living your best life. You know, I saw your child out there and your husband. They're hanging out with you and supporting you. And how fun is it to come experience this too? So it's not just you experiencing Ms. Wheelchair America; they're experiencing it too. So what has that been like for your family?
It's been awesome. They go wherever I go, even before the pageant. Any type of speaking engagements that I have, they're right there with me, never too far behind. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've been somewhere without them. So it's always good to have them there.
That's awesome. So tell me too a little bit about every contestant brings a platform that they're advocating for. What is yours, and how would you further that if you were a Ms. Wheelchair America?
Well, my platform is equal job opportunities for those with disabilities. And it was so close to me because I spent 8 years in college. I earned 3 degrees. And I was straight out of grad school. And I had this interview at a clinic in my area. And I was excited. The interview went great during the email. They were like, you're such a great candidate, blah, blah, blah. So it came to the in-person interview. As soon as I entered the room, I could tell that they no longer saw that person in the email. The only thing that they saw were my limitations. And then they told me that they would give me a call back and things. And surprisingly, one of my close friends, we went to school together, and she told me that she had got this second job. And she was like, I don't know how I'm going to handle it because I don't even know what I'm doing. And I asked her what the job was, and it was the same job that I applied for. And I said, really? And then she only lasted 2 weeks because she didn't have the requirements for the job, you know. It was just something that she was doing for extra money. And it was like, hey, you know, this is discrimination due to unspoken words. and that was something for me to fight for.
To have that that experience, it's got to be really tough. But then, almost, do you feel like you're using it as like fuel to the fire? Like I had this experience, and I don't want anybody else to have that experience.
Yeah, and not only that, it's just like if I could use my platform and my position to speak up for this, because of course we have the ADA laws and things in that nature that prevents discrimination. But how can we take it a step further if they're not saying it? It's not they're not writing it down. We have to push it a little further. So now I'm in that position to bring awareness because it's still there. Even though it's not been said, that discrimination is still there.
What has been the biggest like takeaway from either the education or the experience with the women that you're gonna bring back home? You mentioned off camera that you're not don't see a lot of people with disabilities or people that have used chairs like you back at home. Like, is there anything that you're gonna bring back and maybe share with the able-bodied community?
Yeah, well, a lot of the things that I learned from the workshop, and then I'm from a small town that's not used to change. So it's like a lot of the things that I wanted to change, or a lot of the things that I presented, like, hey, can we get help with this, or can we get help with that? And I received that smack in the face. Now I know which direction that I can take to go over those people to make those changes in my community. And that's why I say I'm thankful for the ladies and the workshops.
Well, that is awesome, and I know that all the ladies are thankful for you too, for you being here and experiencing this. So appreciate you chatting, and good luck in speech night and the rest of the competition. We're going to bring in our last guest for this live stream. Breezy from Kentucky is going to come chat with us. So we're really excited about that. We're going to get her settled in, and then we'll be back with our last interview. And here we are again, guys. We have our last interview for this live stream. It's been so fun talking with all these amazing women here at Ms. Wheelchair America. Reminder tonight, 7:15 Eastern time will be the speech night. You can watch in the same channel where you're watching Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube to catch all the speeches from the contestants and part one of our finals night. We got our last guest that we're talking with. We've got Breezy Williams, Ms. Wheelchair Kentucky. She's got a fun story, and I'm excited to chat with her as well. So to start things off, how has the week been going now that we're kind of starting to wrap up the week?
Ooh, busy, busy, but it was worth it. It's been worth it. A lot of workshops, a lot of just mingling with the ladies and getting to know each other better. So it's been busy, but worth it. Very worth it.
Did you have any expectations when you came first? Like anything you thought, oh, okay, these are going to be competitors. I'm just going to kind of do my own thing. Or what did you think it was going to be like, and how was it different from any expectations?
Before I got here, just because we have all been in group chats, we were doing Zoom calls every Sunday for like an hour, hour and a half. Sometimes we would have to restart the Zoom because we weren't finished talking. So I really didn't have any coming into it, but before I even got into the competition, I did because I thought it was a beauty pageant. And as I am, like, I like to dress up. I like to get all prissy, but like I wasn't like not pageants. So I thought that like, okay, well, I don't want to do that at first. But once I found out that it was more advocacy, I was like, okay, I can do that.
So I asked some of the other contestants that we've been chatting with a little bit about why they use a chair and how that impacted like their journey and their advocacy. Do you mind just walking us through a little bit of what happened to you and how it brought you to today?
So I was in a car accident. We were coming home from a vacation. Um, we had took a, it was in 2020, so the start of COVID, right, sort of in that start, and we took me and a group of friends. We called it a staycation, because we just went shopping here, got everything we needed, and we went to Florida and we stayed in the hotel. Into the Airbnb we had with the kids. We didn't go anywhere. So on the way home, um, all I remember is like I had put my seat back. I had took my seatbelt off, so don't take your seatbelt. Put them seatbelts on. But I took my seatbelt off, laid back, and I remember waking up and they're slipping. And like the only thing I remember was me putting my arm up, and I was like, "Oh shit!" That's all I remember. I was ejected from the vehicle, but I do not remember that portion. But I do remember someone asking me who I was in the vehicle. And then I woke up a week or so later. And however, my mom and my friend, who was the driver, they both told me that I told them, uh, in some sense, like I told my friend, don't worry, I'm just paralyzed. And my mom said, I told her, Mom, I'm paralyzed, but as long as you got me, we good. And I definitely don't remember any of that. Like I said, I remember what I heard on the side and, waking up a week later. And so I just been rolling with it ever since.
What was your recovery like? I mean, to have such a sudden change in your life and to take you a while to like, I mean, it sounds like you accepted it right away, the way that what the other people said. Like, what was like your recovery like and leading up to this point?
Yeah, well, my recovery, like I said, it was 2020, so it was COVID. And in Georgia, the accident happened in Georgia. Um, and it was, well, we were all in Georgia, or we went from one hospital to the next or something. They said it was my friend, me, and his four kids. And luckily, they're all okay, and I'm like so glad. Thankful for that. But in Georgia, I was there for a whole month. And with their rules during COVID, it was two people on the list, but they couldn't be in there at the same time. So I was there a month, and then I got sent back to Louisville for a month, which is home where I was living. And I was inpatient at Frazier for a whole month. And there, it was only one person on the list. No swapping out, no nothing, just one person on the list. So it was definitely long. I'm still in recovery. I don't know if we ever even get out of recovery. So, like I said, it was long, and it wasn't really. I never had like a negative aspect on it. Like I've always rolled with it and saw the positive into all of it.
Every contestant brings a platform, and I believe yours is chairs in the community. Why don't you just tell me what that is and how would you be able to further that platform if you were Ms. Wheelchair America?
Okay. Yeah, so chairs in the community is getting everyone in wheelchairs out of the house. Let's get out in the community. Let's mingle and interact with uh, the non wheelchair users. So, excuse me. Um, and on the flip side of that, I want us to take account also, and the more we get out, like the less planning we have to make. Like we're wanting everything to be accessible for us, but I feel like until we get out and they are able to see what type of access we need, then we won't really have that. So, as Miss Wheelchair America, if I were to get it, I would definitely want to get everyone out so we can mingle and no one's like just being stuck in the house or and also getting out helps with mental. It's very, very good for the mental. And so a lot of people who are injured, go into that depressed state and go into that depression. And like as myself, you lose friends, you lose family, and not by death. They're still alive, but they're just not there or not there in the same way for you. So when you get out in the community, that may be the family that you need. And I have found that in the community that I have in Louisville.
That's great. It's like the family that you make, is more who you're with and the family you might be born with. And, we're watching video of a couple of things. You guys were out in the community. You guys went out and enjoyed the Meyer Garden Sculpture Park. So you got to see some accessible things there. So probably helps with fear to kind of keep getting out that practice of, okay, if I come across something, I'm going to do the best that I can. But then you spoke too also about mental health, and that's in there too, like facing your fears, pushing through. And if you get to something where you can't do it, then you ask for help or you find a solution. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, like you don't get comfortable until you make yourself uncomfortable. And that's kind of what I went with it, even with starting a podcast and a nonprofit. Like I never would have done any of this. Like I'm not out in the forefront. I like to be behind the scenes and stuff. But with this injury, I seen that like I wasn't like going into a depressed state, but I wasn't living in a sense. So I was like, okay, the only way I'm going to get comfortable is to be uncomfortable. So that's why I started getting out in the community and doing stuff. And so I definitely it helps with the mental, and I like to express that to people a lot because they're like, well, I don't want to get out or I don't want to do this. But like, you never know what you or who you may meet.
And talking about kind of getting out there, tell me, you also founded Breezy's Closet. What is that, and what kind of need is that serving in the community?
Yes, that is my nonprofit. It's Breezy's Closet, and what it is, I supply medical supplies, diapers, briefs, wipes, gloves, anything that you may need, stuff that insurance may pay for, but as we know, it's not enough. And so, to keep that financial burden off of people, I wanted to offer those supplies. And so, that's what made me come up with that. And it's free of charge. All they have to do is fill out a form, and they can actually fill out a form once a month. So, it's not a one time thing, they can do it every month.
Sorry, I'm clicking around here, and I'm live switching as we're doing the interview. So sorry about that. So to wrap things up, what has been like your biggest takeaway that you'd want to share with people? Like the word of advice if there's another woman out there who's using a wheelchair and they're thinking, oh, I don't want to compete in this. It's like you said, a beauty pageant, but what would be your advice to them to take that risk, face that fear, and come try to experience Ms. Wheelchair America?
If you are on the fence about it, or if you're like, oh, I would never do that, just think about this. If you have something that you are passionate about, if you have something that you are eager, or you're looking at and you're like, oh, this should change, or, we shouldn't do this, you definitely need to be that advocate. So it's all it is. It's advocating. It is being there for not only yourself, but for the millions of others that are in disability or in chairs. So definitely give it a try. So if you are in a state, you don't have to just be in Kentucky. You can reach out to me if you need to, and I can help you find who that coordinator may be, and definitely get you linked up with them. And it's something that you definitely want to experience. Just that sisterhood that you get from meeting the other contestants and the ladies. Like, we already have plans for after competition, and so it's not just a competition, like, it is a family. It is like sisters that you may have never wanted, or that you do. Like, we have that in with one another now.
Much, Breezy. Ms. Wheelchair Kentucky, appreciate you chatting with us today. Good luck on speech night. We're excited about that. Once again, Ms. Wheelchair America, presented by the Mary Free Bed Guild. Tonight is speech night, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time here on Friday, August 23rd. We're going to hear from all 21 contestants, hear their platform speeches, learn about what they're passionate about and how they want to keep helping the community. You can watch that live tonight here on the Mary Free Bed's Facebook page, LinkedIn, YouTube, also over on Ms. Wheelchair America's page. So thank you so much for watching, and stay well.